Hello, welcome to Lesson 5 of Dani's GWTP course. We are now talking about pop-up dialogues. A dialogue, you use a dialogue if you want to present something to the user, but it's above the web app navigation. So it usually it's a dialogue in front of the page that will be on the back. It usually floats on the screen. And GWTP have this pop-up dialog feature for that. If you want to build a pop-up dialog with GWTP, the dialog itself is a presenter widget. But instead of using a HTML panel, you use a pop-up panel on the YBinder XML. If you want to close a pop-up dialog, you have to call getView.hide. And instantiating a pop-up dialog works exactly like the presenter widget, but if you want to show it, you don't call add to slot or set in slot. You call add to slot to pop-up slot, add to pop-up slot. So let's create a dialog pop-up, a pop-up dialog on Eclipse. And what I want to do here is that if the user clicks no on the hate page presenter widget, a pop-up, a dialog will pop up and asking why not. So first, let's create that presenter. Why not presenter? It is a presenter widget, and we have to check the pop-up view. So the presenter widget view interface doesn't extend view, but it extends pop-up view. One thing to notice about pop-up widgets, pop-up dialogs, is that the onReset event doesn't work because the user isn't navigating to another page. Remember, it's outside the web app navigation. So you only have onReveal to work with. So finish here. Let's make that why not presenter work. So here on pop-up panel, I cannot add HTML code directly, so I'll have to add an HTML panel first. So whatever. And let's ask the user, why not? Let's give him a text area to type something there, and OK button. Oops. I only gave an Y field to the OK button because on that course we are not really saving what the user types. I will do that in a real world project. So really fast, let's give the presenter access to that button. Code completion makes wonders again. And here at the onBind method, I'm going to add a click handler to that button. So get OK button, add click handler. Again, I'm doing this the GWT way, not the GWTP way. When we learn events, I'm going to talk about how to add handlers inside onBind. You have to do it inside onBind, but we are doing one thing wrong. And here on the onClick, I want to get view.hide to hide our dialog. And on the rate page presenter, I'm going to inject the why not presenter. And again, if you don't know how injection works, it's magical. It works. And so we get that presenter here. And instead of sorry, instead of saying I'm sorry to hear that, I'm going to call add to pop-up slot and use the why not presenter here. That's it. So since we created another presenter, another file, I'll stop my development mode, run again. So if, oops, okay, so if we click, I click no now, our pop-up dialog is here, and why not? No reason. Okay, and the pop-up goes away. The cool thing about using presenter widgets, getting back to that topic, is that every time you use the rated page presenter widget, we made we don't have to go everywhere and change the code. So it's really, we are really reusing code with HTML strips, like with HTML code and JavaScript code, and that's with both actually, and they work together really well. So a presenter widget is a really great feature that GWTP have. Okay, so returning to pop-up dialogs. The pop-up panel have a few nice properties. The first one is modal, that it means that the user can't click anything behind the pop-up. The user cannot interact with anything behind that pop-up. It's really cool, and we usually want that. If you don't, set it to false. If you want, set it to true. The glass enabled makes it more clear that you are using a modal pop-up, because it makes the background shady, the background behind the pop-up shady, a little bit darker than usual. And with auto hide enabled, if the user clicks anywhere outside that pop-up dialog, the pop-up dialog will close. Let's play with it a little bit. So on my Y-binder file for the pop-up dialog, here, let's see how it's working right now. So if I say no, I can still click here and use it. I could click here and go to another page. And if that's not what we want, then we have to make it a modal dialog. Another thing to notice here is that when I navigated back to the first place, the pop-up is still there. Also, if I click outside the pop-up, nothing happens. I have to click OK for it to close. So let's make it modal equals true. Just reload the page, and if the pop-up's here, I can't interact with anything else on the page. I can't type text here, I can't click anything. But if I click outside, the pop-up still stays there. But if I use auto hide and I set it to true, reload the page, when I click outside the dialog pop-up, it hides, it gets hidden. And the last thing is the glass enabled, which is a really nice feature of the pop-up dialog. I think it's usability wise, it's, if you are doing a model, there's no reason why you wouldn't use the glass enabled feature. Okay, we are finally done with the MVP part of GWTP. This is the biggest part, the most important part, and in my opinion, it's the part that makes GWTP really awesome to work with. What can you do with what we have learned until now? Well, you can do almost anything your big and complex web app will do. So move on to greater things. Right now, you could have your web app navigation ready, all the presenters, all the presenter widgets, and basically any user interaction should be working right now, as long as you are mocking or the backend communication. You don't have any data, but every menu should be working. If you click login, it should bring up the main page, main place for the user as if he was logged in. You still have to mock some things, but the navigation, all the widgets, all the layout, even the design part can be done already. And so what you have to do now is break down your project in small, simple presenters. How many presenters do you need? How many presenter widgets? How many pop-up presenters? Are you doing nested presenters? If you can plan that, you'll see that implementing each of those presenters is really simple, and because you don't have to raise your head every time with a question, because how will that work with that part really far away from my project? Or, oh my god, this is too complex, how do I do that? Well, implementing a presenter is as simple as you saw here, so you just have to plan everything and you will be coding really fast. And my first BTP project have about 179 presenters right now. It's exactly 179 presenters right now. And about 70k lines of code, 10% of that for tests. So, and everything in the presenter part is really simple. Okay, we have another things to learn about GWTP, so let's go to lesson 6 now. Thanks.